I shouldn't have to go over what a creepypasta is. If you have a frontal lobe and have been on the internet at least once, you know what it is. Some person writes about a haunted video game, uploads it to the internet, and a 9-year-old with unrestricted access to the internet ends up reading it and can't sleep for a week. There's a bunch of staples. Jeff the Killer, Ben Drowned, Eyeless Jack, Slenderman, Laughing Jack, Jack's Films, the list goes on. Creepypastas have been a staple on the internet for years and have evolved into different forms and mediums like fan films and studio movies for better or for worse. But throughout the years I've been on the internet for, the creepypastas that have intrigued me the most are the girl creepypastas. Even though I was too much of a wuss to read about creepypastas when I was younger, and by the time I was the age to properly enjoy creepypastas, I kind of moved on from them. But during the time in between, creepypastas with a female focus always caught my eye a bit more compared to other creepypastas. Speaking of which, this brings me into the topic of this video. About a year or so back, I discovered a female creepypasta that I hadn't heard about called Nurse Anne through a horror writing server of sorts. After this, I decided to do my fair share of research into this creepypasta, and for the first time in my life, I can confidently say that I finally have a creepypasta that I can claim as my favorite. Nurse Anne's design was created by the now deactivated DeviantArt account, Yagui. She's a stitched up and undead nurse who wields a chainsaw. You might have noticed that I said design and not story, and this is because the story that I believe is most commonly associated with Nurse Anne was not created by Yagui. The fan-made backstory for Nurse Anne was created by users DTL and Real Creepypasta Fan. I'm not entirely sure what their socials are, but if I find it, I'll put it up screen here. Yagui never made the story for Nurse Anne and only her reference. Nurse Anne's design was created when Yagui was a student. The fan-made story that's most commonly associated with Nurse Anne is seen as pretty bad. I will get into that, I promise. And it's even criticized by Yagui and her friends. I feel pretty bad about this because I think Nurse Anne could have had so much potential, but the most popular story associated with her has basically just tanked her reputation. Due to how obscure this creepypasta is compared to others, there's not a lot of information I could find on the basics of this character, which kind of makes me sad, and that means I have to cut the section short. However, that means I can actually move on to the next section of this video, which is a live reading of Mia was a shy 24-year-old woman. She didn't have many friends as her job took up most of her time. She was a nurse at an important hospital and she loved feeling useful by helping others. She worked alongside Dr. Sebastian, a young doctor well respected among his colleagues. Even though he was a friendly person, he always seemed cold and distant. Most people thought his reserved personality was completely normal, as he was a forensic doctor and he spent most of his time surrounded by corpses. His blonde hair and blue eyes had broken many hearts. Anne was no exception, and she soon fell in love with him. She never shared her feelings with him, as she thought he would never show interest in her. However, one day, Dr. Sebastian randomly declared his love for her, and they started a relationship soon after. He gave her lots of presents and paid a lot of attention to her. She couldn't have been happier. One day, he invited her over to his house, and after a romantic dinner, he proposed to her. "I love you. I want to be with you forever," he said. Anne felt happier than she had ever been. After a while, the doctor made a sign with his hand and said, "Come, I have another surprise for you. Come to the basement." Even though she felt excited, something inside Anne was on alert. Knowing his voice had changed, the atmosphere had suddenly turned cold. She got up and followed him. He opened the door of the basement, and she suddenly smelled a sickening odor as she was going down the stairs. He said, "Dear Anne, I finally found the answer. From now on, we'll always be together." His strange words scared her even more. When they were all the way down, the young doctor turned on the lights. The young girl could see, totally horrified, several dismembered corpses piled in the corner. She couldn't tell how many there were, but they were all missing parts of their bodies. Anne panicked. The shocking image clouded her vision, and she couldn't articulate a single word. The doctor was beside her, waiting anxiously for an answer. Her first impulse was turning around and running away, but he grabbed her and hit her on the head, leaving her dazed on the floor. She felt him putting her into his arms and placing her on an old stretcher next to a pile of corpses. He tied her hands and feet. She suddenly felt the pressure of a needle in her arm, and the effect of whatever he had injected into her was instant. Her head started spinning, and she couldn't feel her body anymore. She saw the doctor grab a huge knife from the drawer. She opened her eyes wide, panicking, but she couldn't even scream. He got close to her and put the blade to her chest. "Don't worry. You will feel no pain," he said. With a fast move, the doctor raised the knife and stabbed it into her heart with all his strength. The last thing Anne saw before she passed out was a huge puddle of blood coming from her chest. When the young girl woke up, it took her a few minutes to remember what had happened. She was still laying on the stretcher, though she wasn't tied up anymore. She could feel her body again, but that body didn't feel familiar anymore. She stood up and noticed that she was taller now. She had a strange feeling on her face, and when she touched it, she realized there was an eye patch on her right eye now. She looked at her legs, then at her arms. She saw many parts stitched to one another, skin that didn't belong to her. Though the pile of corpses wasn't there anymore, it didn't take long for Anne to realize that her new... It didn't take long for Anne to realize that her new was formed from pieces of dead people. Alright. She suddenly heard a noise and saw the door of the basement open. She knew it was him. Her body clenched, and her face was burning with rage. He got closer to her and looked at her with the face of a lunatic. "My dear Anne, you look so beautiful. I can always admire my masterpiece. Now, you have to do the same to me, and our love be forever," said the doctor. I'm reading exactly what was on the wiki, exactly what was written. I'm reading all the typos. This is the story. This is the story that is most commonly associated with her. But Anne wasn't the same girl anymore. She felt a strange feeling of euphoria. She felt powerful. Suddenly, she felt sorry for that insignificant being, Dr. Sebastian, and the idea of spending the rest of her existence with him was disgusting to her. The doctor's smile vanished when he observed his loved one. Before he could say anything, she jumped on him, and with the power of her new supernatural body, she choked him. He tried to resist, but all of his efforts were in vain. She was a lot stronger. When she saw him dead, she decided to give him a taste of his own medicine. She searched among the tools in the basement until a chainsaw caught her attention. She turned it on and used it to hack the doctor's body into pieces, smiling with each new mutilation. She left the basement and went to the kitchen. She took a look at the clock and saw the day was about to break. She took a shower to clean the blood off of her body and then searched the doctor's drawer. She put on a black uniform, covered the scars on her arms with long gloves, and covered her right eye with hair. When she walked outside, she was greeted with a strange sight. Standing right in front of her was a 7-foot tall man in a business suit. But it wasn't the man's height that made him strange. It was the fact that the man not only has no face, but the tentacles coming out of his back.
What?
Okay. Suddenly, Anne heard a voice in her head. My name is Slender Man. I have observed the events that have transpired this night. I am interested in making you my proxy, said the voice. Proxy? Asked Anne. A proxy is someone who follows my orders, someone who fulfills my needs and wants, someone who obeys my every whim and command without question, replied the Slender Man. And if I refuse? Asked Anne. You die, answered the Slender Man. Seeing no other option, Anne agreed to his proposal. Finally, Nurse Anne was ready to start a new day at work. I have a lot of complaints about the story, as you probably do too, because fucking come on. So I'm just gonna speed run through all the complaints I have about this story that aren't really central to this video. Grammar, punctuation, Everything in the story feels flat because of the lack of descriptives, and a lot of things in the story feel too convenient. Like, why the fuck did Dr. Sebastian have that impractical-ass latex nurse uniform? Was he into some freaky shit? He probably was. He cut people up. He stitched this girl together. Of course he was probably into some freaky shit. Anyway, here are my complaints that I'll actually go more in depth to. Nurse Anne's character in this story isn't really structured out besides her love for a man and being a nurse. By the time she's remotely considered what could be even close to being a fleshed out character, the story just ends. And she doesn't even get to be considered someone who's evil for her own reasons. She has to work for fucking Slender Man. And also, he brings up the proxies. This means that there's other creepypastas canon to the Nurse Anne lore. Is she gonna fucking team up with Ben Drowned or some shit? What? This was very clearly made for the fandom world of creepypastas, and not really for its own character that it's focused on. For me, I think the Slenderman proxy / creepypasta manor thing works when it's in the hands of a collective community and not by a single author who deliberately squeezes it into the story. It's kind of like a rite of passage the fans have to take with your character, at least for me personally. Nurse Anne had so much potential to be one of the most iconic creepypastas, but she got ruined because of this fan-made story. I feel really bad that this story is the one associated with the creepypasta when it isn't even written by the creator. There's so many people who think that this is official, and it makes me, like, super upset. I hope this story gets disconnected from the creepypasta because Yagui doesn't even like this story and wish it wasn't so heavily associated with her design from what I've seen. I would have loved to seen the backstory of Nurse Anne created by the creator of Nurse Anne. I know this story was probably written a while ago, but I really hope the people who wrote this story improve their writing skills, and I hope they're still doing good to this day, wherever you guys are. And despite all my complaints, it really is a time capsule into the old days of creepypasta. People wanting their works to be recognized by the widespread fandom and wanting them to be associated with other popular characters is very charming, and I would be lying if I said I never did that. It's not a bad thing at all, I promise. I just definitely think it could have been integrated way better, or maybe just not integrated at all by the author. But then again, it's a sign of the time, so who fucking cares?
Bagel, you made the video, so you should care.
I don't care that much. I just wanted to make a funny little video about some bullshit, and also I haven't uploaded in a while, so. After reading the story and writing my script and final thoughts, I feel like we, as readers and consumers of media, don't take the time to appreciate older and/or beginner works of writing. These old creepypasta writings have such a charm to them that you can really only understand if you were in the fandom space for so long, especially as a younger audience member. I am so sorry that this video might have come off as rude, but I promise I made all of this in good fun and of my own personal interest. And for the love of God, don't try and search anybody who contributed to the story of Nurse Anne or Yagui out. I'm sure they have distanced themselves off the creepypasta space or the internet entirely for a reason. And I'm sure that they'll come back on their own time if they haven't come back. But if you guys are seeing this, I hope you're doing well out there. Thank you so much for watching my stupid little video about a stupid little creepypasta that I stupidly like. And if you liked this video, please consider subscribing. I want to do YouTube full time. When I was making and recording the script, it was near the end of high school, and when I recorded this, I graduated. But now that I'm done editing because of procrastination, I am about to move for college, and that's gonna be across the country, which is such a crazy journey for me, and I'm so glad that people have stuck this far with me. But that means I'm gonna be really busy as well, so I'll try and get videos as much out as I can, so please be patient with me. But I'm going to a really good art school. I'm like a week from moving too, so that means this is gonna be my last video I can get out before I actually go to college. I also have commissions open if you want to buy an art piece from me. That would be really cool. But that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching and taking the time out of your day to watch this. I heavily appreciate it. Thank you so much. Bye bye.